So I'm Niall. Thanks very much for having me along today. Hopefully you're able to see my PowerPoint presentation at this stage. Yeah.
Yep.
Super. Just confirm that. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I run ProAptivity. We are a company and we specialize in the delivery of CRM software. What is CRM software? It is, for want of a better description, a database management tool to help you manage your organizations more effectively, more efficiently. We work extensively with, we're Northern Ireland based. We work extensively with Northern Ireland SMEs. We work with the charity sector and with social enterprise. So I'm delighted as well. You're not just going to have to listen to me. Katie Skelton from Inspire is going to say a few words. They're a long-standing customer. So Katie will share with us her experiences of using CRM and the value, hopefully, that it brings their organization. So at a point in time, feel free to stop and ask me any questions that you want. I'll put them in the chat and I'll pick them up maybe as an alternative at the end. So as just a show of hands, how many people or organizations currently have what we would call a CRM or a proper database management tool in place that is not Excel? A few. Yeah, okay, good. So hopefully you're realizing the benefits of those. What we're going to talk about today really are 3 or 4 key benefits in terms of what CRM can bring in terms of the value. We're not looking at features and functionality, we're just really looking in terms of the key features and key benefits an organization can have from the CRM deployment. Keep it as simple as possible, or as short as possible rather. The first one is providing customer insights so that you have visibility in terms of what's going on within the organization, hopefully at the touch of a button. Okay. The second element is you should, with a CRM platform, provide or realize a single version of the truth. So you know one place to go to where all information is stored, is referenced, is up to date, so that it's not sitting on 1,000 or 2 or 3 even Excel spreadsheets in different locations. Third one is really around stakeholder engagement. It's a tool to enable us to work effectively with our stakeholders. And that might be our employees internally. It might be our customers. It might be management within the organization. It might be our board members, whatever those stakeholders look like. Okay. And at each of those levels, we can provide key information relevant to each of those stakeholders. We're going to look at briefly at mobility and how the world has changed dramatically since March 2020, and how now with pretty much the adoption of home working as a cultural norm, mobility is key for organizations, and CRM is one of those tools that help enable the organization to be mobile. Okay, we used to talk about mobile in the context of having access to the CRM on my mobile phone. We can still do that, but really it's more around accessing information anywhere, but also then being compliant. And that brings us down to our last element, making sure you have good corporate governance within the organization, good management of control of information. You're in line and fulfilling your duties regarding GDPR. So that's one of the key things. And then I'll just hand you over at the end to Katie, and she'll give us a wee overview in terms of Inspire, who Inspire are. I'm sure you're familiar with them. More importantly, then, how Katie uses Inspire and how it enables her team to use it. So, insights. Insights provide us with the key business intelligence outputs for our organization. So a CRM, a good CRM should be easy to customize And based on that customize, you should be able to define whatever key performance indicators your organization wants. Now, they can be different key performance indicators for different sector with different roles within the organization. You might have maybe a membership role, so you want to key performance indicators around membership. If you're in an organization of stakeholder engagement, you might want to report and then record numbers of stakeholder engagement, maybe duration, maybe other things around. Katie talks about, or probably will talk about opportunity recording in terms of tenders that are being submitted and won. What are we being successful on? What are we not being successful on, and why? So really, rather than sitting down and looking through maybe pages of reports, CRM will provide you with a very easy to customize and build and report format within a dashboard. Now, one of our clients, they used to spend roughly a day a month doing a stakeholder report for their board. Okay, so what we have now is freed up their day entirely, and we've created a dashboard, not dissimilar to this, which provides them with real-time key performance indicators to the board. And if anything changes, it changes in real time and reports that. So there's a huge business benefit in terms of efficiency savings as well within that. And then we typically can drill down and read the detail on these. So a good CRM should have the ability to have to customize your dashboard reporting for multiple stakeholders. And Maximizer, which is the product we have, can do that very easily. So, single version of the truth. Big theme, CRM. Where is our data stored from an organization perspective? Who has the most up-to-date record? Okay, or file. We have maybe an Excel sheet that we're importing into MailChimp to do marketing with. We have contacts stored individually on our Outlook profiles or our mobile phones, okay? Or we still work with organizations that have huge document repositories in terms of filing cabinets. And they need to be able to make that information digital and put that information to use and reduce the amount of administration and admin time that they're using on good old pen and paper. So CRM creates a go-to portal where all information is stored. You're able to set up security groups so that only relevant information can be viewed by relevant people. So if you have sensitive information in your database, for example, you don't want to share with other people, that can be easily configured, but yet all information can be accessed at the touch of the button. When you have all information centrally stored, you're able to, it helps you enable those educated decisions, okay? Who's talking to what clients? What follow-ups are needed? What is our stakeholder engagement? Okay. There's so many different outcomes that we could talk about. Those are just some of them. Okay. Stakeholder engagement. Okay. We have economically a defined pot of money that we need to spend. And what we need to do is we need to make for that money that we are spending, make sure we're getting the best value for that money. And there are lots of different software applications available in the marketplace. It's always good practice to go and do your research prior to engaging with any platform. And a lot of the social enterprises will have registered charity numbers, and that will provide you with substantial savings in terms of licensing. Okay. But in terms of from your stakeholder engagement, what are they interested in? They may be interested in things around return on investment. If we want to spend this money now, what is our return on investment going to be? Being able to segment and manage our different audiences. We may have different target audiences that you're trying to communicate different messages to. CRM will do that very easily. It'll also record who has received that message. From a governance perspective, if you have complaints coming back into the organization and that complainant says you never communicated to me, you're able to record all historical communications within CRM and you're able to provide evidence for that as well. So segmentation and profiling, and then real-time data capture. So this is increasingly an area of growth for CRM, and it's governed by really what we call CRM self-service. Okay, so we would have other membership organizations where their membership will self-administer their own members. Okay, we have created a web page, and they will update relevant information, and that relevant information will be automatically fed into the CRM. We're able to work on uploading documentation. We're able to verify records, and all that's doing is helping eliminate manual processes or eliminate a process or a time constraint within the organization that we're able to automate within that. And once we have that data captured in a central repository, then we can make intelligent use out of it. And mobility. Are we ever going to return to the office 5 days a week? Are we ever going to do that commute in and out of every day, when now after 18 months we're so enabled to work remotely? And CRM is a classic tool which helps us or enables us to be mobile. Okay, we can have all data on our mobile phone, or we can just plug in our laptop anywhere, at home, in a coffee shop. It doesn't really matter. We log in and we have our accurate, full, up-to-date, compliant data from our organization. And that's really increasingly where we're being seeing ongoing requests for CRM, especially since COVID has started and organizations then have a disparity of information. We're trying to bring all that information together in a managed format so the organization can operate more efficiently, and CRM offers that. And good old compliance, okay? CRM's key for operational and organization compliance, very much driven by GDPR. All right, but it's also good corporate governance, because from your board perspective, they know where your key data is. They know the security parameters around that. They know who has access to what information. Also, then there can really define key performance indicators that we can report against. So we can put measures in place for that reporting and provide you with clear indicators in terms of how you are performing against a number of predefined indicators. We have measurement and control. What is working in our organizations? What's not working in our organizations? It provides traceability. Okay. It's only obviously as good as how well it's adopted within the organization and how well it's utilized. But the measurement of activity, and obviously that measurement provides us with information that we can make educated decisions on. CRMs are constantly being iterated or developed over a period of time. Katie will talk in a moment about Inspire, but the deployment that we have now with Inspire is a very, very different deployment that we had back in 2015 when we first deployed Maximizer. And say a good CRM should be dynamic. It should be able to change in line with your business processes easily, I guess, easily and responsively, so that we're able to do that in a responsive fashion. And because we have visibility and management and control, we have then accountability. Okay, we have ownership of roles, we have ownership of data, we have ownership of maybe a customer service cases or ownership of engagement. And that is really, really good from a corporate compliance perspective. Okay. Sorry, just we pop up here. Okay. And finally, who are we and why are we talking to you? So those are some of our clients that we work with. Priorities would include Housing Rights, Volunteer Now, Maid Murray Foundation, Inspire. We have other Young Farmers would be a youth organisation. We also support the Scottish Association of Young Farmers. And then the others are some of our private sector organisations ranging from IT, telecoms, business communication, marketing, professional services, financial services, engineering, manufacturing organisations. So a wide variety of organisations that we support. And I suppose, why choose CRM? If you put CRM into Google, you'll get something in the region of 400,000 returns. So it's over to you then to start trying to spend your evenings and nights looking through 400,000 returns and to figure out what is the best CRM for your organization. And the truth be told, there are lots of different options. But what we can bring to the table is the ability to support you in terms of your user deployment. There's lots of self-service CRMs in the marketplace, but the difficulty with that is they provide you with a license, and then you will have you'll have to go away and work on the adoption of that CRM yourself and the iteration of the processes. And the abandonment rate on that type of deployment is or can be as high as 70%. So how they define that is 70% of licenses aren't renewed after year one. Okay, but what we do is slightly different. We will work with an organization and develop what we call high customer intimacy. We will get to know your organization, get to know the roles and what you're trying to achieve within the organization, and build the CRM around that. That has multiple benefits. Biggest benefit is user adoption. So from day one, users will be able to use a system that reflects the organization and the roles that they're in. We work with organizations to make them appreciate the time and the effort commitment that's going to be required to make this work. There will be policy and procedures changes. There will also be mostly a cultural shift away from we used to do things in one way, and now we're going to do it in the new way, and this is going to be the new normal. And that's our deployment methodology in summary. What does 100% success look like? When we work with clients through this methodology, we have 100% success. So how do we find success? Companies that decide to renew their licenses year one, okay, or even moving into year two. So it's just not about the technology. It's about how well that technology is developed, implemented, and how well supported your staff are with the onboarding process for user adoption.
Some of you aren't familiar with ourselves. Inspire is a charity, and Inspire Workplaces, Inspire Students are a social enterprise. And so we provide a whole range of mental health and well-being support services. Could be from training and train up your managers on mental health awareness, to providing interventions like counselling services to staff, specialist interventions like more long-term support for maybe one individual within your organization, critical incident response if maybe there has been, unfortunately, a passing of an employee, or maybe there's been a trauma in the workplace. We obviously go in and we support staff through that. And we've a whole range of customers that we provide these types of services to. We're an all-Ireland organisation, and so that brings me on to really needing a CRM that can hold all of this information. And so we work with, as I say, from every teacher in the island in Northern Ireland to the Blue Light Services to lots of charities, private sector companies. We hold the, we work with Garda Síochána, Defence Forces, a lot of organizations who have very stringent reporting requirements. We have to, there's a lot of governance around them, the likes of even around the civil service. So we need to make sure that we have something that works for us. And it's hard to believe it's been 5 years now. Me and Niall work very closely together. And what happened was we approached Niall and we were able to create something that worked for us. So we sat down together and worked out, okay, what are we going to look at first? Because as Niall mentioned, it's best to embed it into maybe one department or for one service. And for us, it was the employee assistance program. And that's our biggest service, and that allows organizations to access helpline and counselling. And we have over 300 customers, 750,000 people. And so what we needed is to have all of that information in one place in terms of, contract start date, end date, how many people can use the service. Of that service, can just staff members use it? Is it agency workers? So much detail around every single contract, because every contract varies and every contact within that contract varies. There might be someone specifically related to, receiving reports or invoices. And all of that was currently, at the time, was being managed by that contract manager. And what we have found is a brilliant benefit to moving on to the CRM is that, for example, we have an employee on maternity leave at the minute. And so she had a significant number of contracts that she managed, but myself and another colleague have really been able to just seamlessly take on those contracts and manage them, because what we find really helpful is Outlook can be linked to Maximizer. So every email can be saved under one profile. So I was able to look back and see all of the email communications, past documents that have been sent, and literally just pick up that contract and not have to start that whole process and finding out what their needs are, what they've had in the past. And so from a literally capturing data, it's been really helpful. And that was our main goal, because especially with the pandemic, it has been a godsend, to be completely honest with you. And it's the visibility of it too. So within Inspire, there's a number of us that work. We have 5 contract managers. I previously was in a business development role. We have a business development team. And, especially within Northern Ireland, it's a small place. And usually we find, maybe I would be speaking with an organization, but I know, before they maybe had training with ourselves. And Maximizer is a place where we can be able, we can find all of that information, and all of our staff can access it either on their phone or on the web, which has been really helpful. And it's accuracy around the detail too. And we've been able to customize profiles. So for example, if we wanted to build a field to capture a certain piece of information, I'm actually at that stage where I can do that myself. So me and Niall have worked very closely. So whenever we rolled out the CRM, I was the champion. And so we had training for all staff that use it, but I had some extra training. And so it meant then that if I had any questions, or if the staff had any questions, I had a bit more knowledge around it. And I find that's really helpful, because in terms of barriers of using the service or using the system, I have found that if staff can't find the answer easily, they'll stop using it. So myself and Niall work very closely to be able to kind of upskill my own self into using the system. And so I can now add fields myself. I can add whatever information I need. And I also, in terms of reporting too, we would provide board reports because obviously we're part of a charity. So at any given time, I can provide any senior management or our board of, how many lives do we cover, for example, or what new business did we generate in April 2018, or it can pull any data that you put into it. And that is what I would say, is that in the beginning it takes a bit of time. I did, input a lot of data into it, and we did do a global, we put loads of information into it, but it does take a bit of time and trying to figure out what is it that you want it to do, what is the purpose of it. And now we find that we actually use the CRM, not just for our employee assistance program, but our specialist interventions team now use the CRM, and now actually our charity are using it. And we find that it is really helpful because our fundraising team, we find that a lot of organizations will donate money into the organization, and that's really good for us to know because they may be one of our customers, and it just provides that really good level of visibility. And being able to customize it, I found it really helpful because the number of times that I've thought I really need to capture X, and I've called Niall and I've probably very badly explained what I'm trying to achieve, and Niall is incredibly patient and is always able to help provide a solution. So there's the contract management side of it and the capturing data, but we also use the CRM for accurately recording new opportunities. So in terms of where they all fall, so obviously we have a number of organizations that will just approach us directly. We're also, we are involved in lots of tender processes. And so what we can have is we have a really accurate list then of what current opportunities are open, how much value and revenue will they potentially be able to bring to the organization, and what stage are they at. And from a business development perspective, I find that incredibly helpful to keep everything in the one place. And especially around security groups as well. I mean, sometimes there's very commercially sensitive information in terms of our contracts. If we're, having conversations with potential partners or all of that sort of stuff, we're able to lock certain parts of the CRM down. So generally what I would say is the benefits that we have found is the fact that it links so well to Outlook, and you can literally record every single communication. You have a profile with the contacts associated with it, all the information onto one profile, and as well, just from a business opportunity perspective, being able to again record that and the visibility of it. Everyone can access it, and it is very user friendly. So I hope that gives a bit of an idea as to how we use the CRM, but I know that might have potentially pulled up a few additional questions, but if anyone wants to ask me anything individually or privately, more than happy, reach out to Inspire and ask for myself, and I can certainly have a more lengthy conversation about how we use Maximizer, but in a very hopefully not so long-winded way of saying that we do. That's the way we use Maximizer predominantly at the minute, and it has changed dramatically over the number of years, and it's now embedded a lot more into our services. The limitations we found was definitely buy-in. Whenever we had integrated Maximizer, I find that some teams just did not want to change, and it took quite a significant talking them round. And how we were able to combat that is, again, it came from above and said, look, we are investing in this. And so what I would say is it has to be a commitment from the organization as a whole. And also limitations around that is that can really delay getting Maximizer or the CRM up and running, because I know that it took me quite a significant amount of time putting everything into the system, talking to each team and finding out, okay, what do you need from this? I then went away and I was able to build all of that with Niall, but then to get everyone into a room took maybe 3 weeks. And I think that's so important in the outset, include, all of the team. And I would have said we would have been face to face, but at the minute it's not, but we have been delivering some training. So for example, we actually have a new account manager starting yesterday, and I'll be able to deliver training to him then this week. But in terms of limitations, absolutely, I would say there has to be a commitment, and there also has to be an acknowledgement that it does take work to put it in. It was quite painful putting in all of the information and being able to talk to everyone and find out exactly what was needed. And everyone always will have varying needs, and it's being able to really try to condense that and simplify that, but make it broad enough so that everyone understands what each field means. So, you know, someone might refer to a service completely differently to someone else. And so it needs to be detailed enough to capture everything, but understandable for everyone using it. So that was a limitation that we had, and it was more internally trying to figure out what way should we use the service. So I definitely would say there needs to be a real transparency and a commitment to embed it, because if it doesn't, it just falls apart. And I know that before, we've been working with Inspire, or we've been working with Niall since 2015. We actually had Maximizer before that, before I started the organization. And that's exactly what happened. There just wasn't the buy-in, and it fell apart. And then we picked it up again in 2015, and it definitely took a while to get everyone using the service. But now I have to say it runs really well. That's probably the limitations I can think of too. Another one would probably be, it depends on your needs. So for us, you know, we find that using we would send out some, you know, monthly easings around in terms of communicating to our customers. We find that another system was better than Maximizer, but they spoke to each other. So we're able to then still save under Maximizer. X customer received this email communication. It wasn't done through Maximizer, but they were able to integrate together. So we're still able to capture that information to say that that person received that. So it is, I would just recommend that it is something that I think talking to your team about and saying, like, this is what we're thinking about doing, and really trying to reiterate the benefits of it, because it is immediately, you don't get all the benefits immediately. It's only as good as the information you put into it, is what I would say.